Really beautiful morning. It's Thursday here, and there's so much going on in the Staffless Practice Circle. Today's a big day for us, but before I tell you about it, I want to just remind you, if you're watching me on YouTube, go ahead and hit the bell so that you get an alert when I go live, and make sure you follow me because there's a lot of good stuff coming up. So here's the deal. First of all, let me tell you that today we are doing our free training, and there's a description. In the description, there's a link, and the link will give you a seat to our training today. It's at 11 a.m. So much good stuff, totally brand new content. So if you've been to my free training before, make sure you come again today. Okay, and yes, it will be recorded, so make sure you register, and I'll send you the recording. Okay, so here's the thing. My biggest tip to dealing with difficult clients. This has been a tricky couple of years to be a wellness practitioner because of what's been going on. I'm going to be as discreet as possible. People have asked me a lot more personally driven questions about my personal health choices, my opinion about personal health choices, and just kind of pushing the boundaries. And I think that what happens is people come in to get great care, which I'm so grateful that they do. And I think that they disconnect from the fact that there is a line that is drawn in the sand between my personal world and the care that I'm responsible for giving. And it's really tricky for me because I'm in love with the people that I serve. I go to my office, and my office is my happy place. It's where I do what I do in this world best. And to be on guard is a very tricky, it's a tricky cape to have on, because part of what I do and the way that I do it well is by not being on guard. So there has to be some kind of a boundary between what I'm willing to share about my personal world and what I'm just not comfortable sharing. And this can go, we think about the things that we're not necessarily comfortable sharing, and they're going to align with our values, which we've been talking about all week. So with my core values, keeping my core values, and you guys, listen, if you haven't memorized your core values yet, please do it now. Please take 20 minutes. Look at the actions from the last 3 days of what you did. Get to the root of why you chose each one of those actions, and there your core values will emerge. That's how you get to them. You look at your actions, because your actions are always driven from your values. Here's another thing. If you're in my Joy-Filled Practice group on Friday, we're doing a deep dive into bringing your core values to the surface. You guys do not miss this training. And listen, if you're not already in that group, just go to joyfilledpractice.com to grab a seat. It's $1. It's the best dollar that you will ever spend. And Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern, we are taking a deep dive into core values. Okay, so, I took the wrong thing out here. Hold on. Okay, so I want you to understand that there are going to be moments that you really have to be on guard when you're not expecting to be on guard. You're going to have that cape on. And my number one tip has always been to have very clear practice policies. My practice policy, especially if you don't have staff. I don't have staff in my office, so there's no buffer between me and my practice members. If I'm in my groove and I'm doing my thing, I always think about Pete the cat in his blue suede shoes. He's walking along singing his song, and let's say that somebody just comes by and landslides him. He's got to be ready for that landslide, right? So that's true when I'm practicing too. I'm walking along singing my song, doing my thing, and I might get landslided by a question that pushes my personal boundaries. I have to know what to say in that moment to protect my values, to protect the values of my practice, right? So here's what I do. Sally comes in. Sally asks me about something that I'm not comfortable sharing. Maybe it's something about my relationship with my husband. Maybe it's something about my nutrition picture. Maybe it's something about what I choose to put in my body or on my body. You guys know where I'm going, right? So I'll say to Sally, Sally, my practice policy is to really focus on you when you're here in the office. Sally, my practice policy is that I don't share that information with my practice members because 50% of the people want me to answer one way and 50% of the people want me to answer another way. So my practice policy is to not answer that question. Sally, my practice policy is that you pay at time of service. Sally, my practice policy is if you show up 5 minutes late for your appointment or 10 minutes late for your appointment, or if you cancel without giving me a heads up, I do X, Y, and Z. You guys, here's the thing. You have to know what your core values are in order to know what policies you need to create for your practice, especially if you don't have somebody sitting at your front desk being the buffer, right? Being the go-between. And here's the thing. If you're one of these practitioners who I idolize, who has got it figured out with a team in the office, right? Totally not my jam, but if that's you, then give this assignment to your office manager. Give this assignment to the person sitting at the front desk and say, here's a list of our core values. What practice policies do we need to have in place? What comes up with the Sallys of our practice to best support these values? Have them committed to memory. Right? Not only do you have them committed to memory, but you put them in front of your practice members. You have a 4 agreements with, when new practice members join the practice, you have a sheet that's called the 4 agreements. And the 4 agreements are your top 4 policies that you're in agreement on so that you can say to Sally when you're walking along, singing your song, doing your thing, and you're landslided by Sally's question, you can say, remember when you started care with us and you signed that 4 agreements? Well, one of the things on the 4 agreements, here's what it does. It takes out the personal piece of it. It's not personal, it's a practice policy, right? And if one of my core values is authentic connection, okay, I'm going to have a really hard time telling Sally that's none of your business or I'm not answering your question. But what is really easy to do is to recite a practice policy. Okay, I think I drove my point home. So the takeaway from today is to know what your core values are. If you don't know what your core values are as an individual, as a practitioner, as a practice owner, or what your practice's core values are, please, please, please join us in the Joy-Filled Practice group. Just go to joyfilledpractice.com and you'll see how to do that. The other thing I'm going to say is that today, you guys, totally free training at 11 o'clock. See the description below this video and you can grab a seat. Here's the thing. The world needs great care yesterday, and you are just the person to give the world, as you know it, the world in your community, that great care. And this is one of the steps that will create as little distraction as possible so that your great care is right there. It's right at your fingertips. And there's nothing distracting you from being a channel for that great care. I'm loving you guys from here. Make today count.